Yeah.
operated. You know what I mean?
You're going to pay one as one way or another to treat them.
1/100. Excellent. Some kind of
Right, guys, welcome to It's More Than Just Money, where we delve into conversations with entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and change makers that are making a difference in the South African business landscape. My name is Witness Mtaka, and I'm your host. And today, I am sitting with Mr. Revan Naidoo of Trident Logistics. He's the CEO and AI researcher. So he's a visionary entrepreneur and leader in the logistics and digital transformation space. And as the founder and CEO of Trident Logistics, he has built a company that specializes in freight forwarding, warehousing, distribution, inventory management, customs brokerage, and supply chain consulting. Beyond logistics, Revan is a Salesforce architect at Pinotage Advisory, and he previously served as senior manager of digital transformation at PwC South Africa. He is currently pursuing a doctorate in business administration at UNISA, focusing on integrating artificial intelligence within customer relationships management systems to enhance logistics services. With his deep expertise in technology, AI, and logistics, Revan is at the forefront of transforming industries. Today, we are going to dive into his journey, the future of logistics, how AI is reshaping business, what it takes to lead and scale in today's world. And one of the other things we said we are going to talk about is some of his failures in business. You know, most of the time when we sit on the show or anywhere else, we always talk about the glory that people have achieved. But with every glory, there's always going to be a story. And with every story, there are going to be some challenges. Revan, it's good to have you on the It's More Than Just Money show. Welcomes, my brother, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Witness.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the time when you hear somebody reading out your bio like that, what goes through your mind?
It, what goes through my mind is how did you get there? And the rightfully so is what you said, the failures that one has to go through to get there. Everybody labels themselves and gives themselves high titles and high sort of self-esteem, which is great. But when somebody reads something like that out, the amount of years and the amount of work that has been put in to get to that level doesn't speak for itself. And time again, I think my focus here today is to chat about how do we fail forward and fail fast, and how do we overcome these challenges that we face, especially when you're running multiple organizations.
So, leading up to your days now in the logistics business, right? You talk about failing fast and failing forward. What exactly does that mean to you, and why is it so
Sure.
important, and why is it something you're starting with in this conversation?
Sure. So our logistics business, we sort of started around the September time last year, so it's 6 months in. But I've sort of dabbled in logistics about 15 years ago. So it was something that I started when I was quite younger, but I couldn't understand it fully. I knew that this is what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what it takes and what's involved. A good example is I had this 8-ton truck, and it used to break all the time. And I had endless issues with drivers, and a lot of people in the logistics space would understand actually some of the things that I would say. But to the broader audience, as a young sort of teenager, and probably 18, 19 years old, I was never sort of coached in the sense that this is how you approach a customer, this is how you sign a contract, this is how you get business. And so I decided that I'm not going to do it because I was too scared to ask people for business. Can I move your load? Can I, supply you with my truck? And so I left it. I just completely left that industry. But I did say that when I do come back in, I'm going to do it properly. And sort of fast forwarding today, and I'm just like talking about logistics at this space. We I decided that I wanted to get back into the logistics space sort of around August time last year. So I started to speaking to people in industry that I knew from back then. People that started off then are now flying, and they're quite big, and they have many trucks and multiple businesses. And I said to myself, sometimes don't reinvent the wheel. If you could just replicate what's going on and offer good service, you'll grow. So fast forwarding to September, I made the first acquisition of a truck and a trailer, and we started to put it on the road and get it working. Failing fast and failing forward, some of the examples are having one truck. People don't take you seriously. Sometimes people also don't want you to enter the market because they feel that you're going to take their business. Now, in the logistics space, it's a very you need capital intensive. You need a lot of money to run a truck and operate a truck because you get paid 30 days from statement. So in actual fact, you wait 60 days for your money. So I think the capital that you need in this industry upfront is a lot. Okay, and not many people have that capital lying around as well. So some real life practical examples of failing fast, failing forward is tire pressure, for example. If you got one truck, you don't probably have a yard to park your truck, and you don't have equipment and tools to fill pressure in your tire. So you'd have to go to a garage. Now, to go to a garage, the oaks don't want to help you. The people don't want to help you. And so what you do, you go to the next garage. And then you go to the next garage. And I had to go to 5 garages to fill pressure in the tires. Some garages, the tire pressure system doesn't work. It's not like a car. People don't help you to fill pressure in your tires. You have to fill it on your own. And if you think about the cost involved, the diesel, the time, the inefficiency, that led me to start thinking about, okay, how do I start scaling very fast? So I had to invest in tools like a compressor to be able to fill, tire pressure on my own. I had to get a yard. Getting onto the second truck, we started, like I said, operating in October. By December, the first week of December, I bought a second truck. When I bought the second truck, I drove the truck up from Cape Town myself. I have a code 14 PDP as well, so I'm able to be a hands-on operator. But 3 days after I bought the second truck, the first truck got written off. It was involved in a heavy accident. And then, I had one. So basically, I was back to one truck, and I had one trailer because the trailer got damaged a bit, but it didn't. The load was fine, and we could still use it. So when I got that call at 1:00 in the morning, I jumped straight into the truck, and I drove down with my with a mechanic that we have that works full time for us. And I went and picked up the load. It was very emotional to see a truck that was written off of yours that you spend so much of time and care. It's like a child.
Yep.
And so all I decided was I was in crisis mode. I need to pick this truck up and I need to move. And I drove it down to Durban with the load, and then I offloaded, and then I flew back up. But I think at that point people will just say quit. What do you have left? If I didn't buy the truck 3 days ago, I wouldn't have had a truck to even take the load down and deliver it at the end of the day. You have to hire another truck to come and collect that load. So I think that being determined and being motivated and making sure that you know your North Star is very important and crucial. And after getting the second truck back on the road and buying it's the third truck, but it's essentially the second truck, I managed to get a truck yard. And then that's where I was able to wash my own truck, and I was able to fill my own pressure and do any maintenance and repairs. I got a full-time diesel mechanic on that works for us on our payroll. And people will say, but you're mad. Some people got 15 trucks, they got no mechanic, they got no yard. But I wanted to make sure that we're efficient. If we have any breakdowns, our trucks are not very new. So if we have a breakdown, how can we fix it as quick as possible with limited downtime? So those are some of the things of failing fast, failing forward that I've experienced.
So tell me something. when one looks at like your bio and the work that you've done throughout the years, it's like a diversified kind of life in the sense that I know you've run a tissue business where you're producing, so that's
Toilet paper.
manufacturing,
Yeah,
toilet
manufacturing,
paper,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're in IT,
Yes, that's right.
consultancy.
Yes.
You're at PwC. Now we're talking digital AI. We're talking logistics. So and property as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's a very diversified career choice if you look at it. What informed getting into some of these industries at the time that you did?
Sure. So I'll start with the property, and that's why I was very inspired about your book and the things that you do. So with property, as a young person growing up, you'd often hear people saying that they bought a house for $1 million and they sold it for 1.5 million 2 years later, and they made R500,000 profit. Immediately in my mind, I said to myself, at that age, I'm going to buy many houses and I'm going to sell it just that way, and I'm going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
so
I'm going to buy it $1 million and sell it 1.5.
yeah, exactly. And to be honest, the first apartment that I bought, it's in a place called Jackal Creek Golf Estate. Golf Estate, lovely, great. It's a secure space. You think of luxury, you think of opulence, you think of a lot of things. And I bought the first apartment. I didn't even see it. So I sent my mom and my brother actually to go view it. And I made the offer and I bought the place. No one told me anything about rates and taxes and levies, by the way, mind you. So I gave the full offer price.
Not even the agent.
Not even the agent. I don't recall it. So I knew that there is a levy statement. I received a levy statement, and I paid it every month. It was a one-bedroom apartment. It is a one-bedroom apartment. Sorry, I still have it. And it was about 2,000 rand odd that time a month. I'm talking about 10 years ago now, right? It's closer to 3,000 now. But if I think about like what it's renting for today, it's the same as what it was renting for 10 years ago. So the rental hasn't appreciated, but your rates, taxes, and expenses have appreciated over the years. Now I'm trying to sell all my property. I sold one 2 months ago, also in Jackal Creek Golf Estate. It was a one-bedroom or a loft. I bought it, paid 840 for it, sold it for 820, so I lost 20 grand in 6 years. This property now that's for sale, I just signed the offer to purchase that was given to me. I paid like 620, 630. I sold it for 560 now. So, but it's fine because I think when we spoke recently, I said I want to rediversify what I'm doing. And I told you, I'll tell you 4 ways of how not to buy property.
Yeah, maybe tell me the 4 ways of how not to buy.
Don't pay offer price or asking price. Find equity in property, so that from off the bat you have value, and make sure you cash flow positive. So I never think none of that, nothing about cash flow, because every month you have to put in. For example, the property that I had for 840, I was getting 7.2 rent, but the property costed me 12.5 grand every month, and for 6 years, I paid the difference. And don't buy property cash as well. You rather take that cash and divide it into 5 properties or buy a block of flats. So I think that's sort of the strategy that I'm going to. I'm letting go of all these assets, so that the strategy is to now go multi-let block of flats in a sort of low to middle income area, which will yield more positive cash flow returns, and also maybe the sort of buy to sell, renovate market. So I think that's from a property angle. That's how you go. And also, things like reading the property report. Before you buy a property, I would suggest read the property report, because it'll tell you which is the booming area and which is the area that's not doing so well. And maybe look in the booming area, because that's where you're going to find that in 2 years' time, when you decide you want to sell it or rent it out, boom, you made money. So I know that, a few years ago, Rosebank was like the top booming area. The north coast of Durban was the top booming area. So those were the places to build or buy. So that's sort of the property angle. Software, if I move on over to this.
Before we move on to software, when you started out with the property portfolio, you said the reason you had kept it was because around that time you were also doing Airbnb and you were making far more money with the cash flow on
Yeah.
that one, but things changed. Can you take us through that?
Yeah. So
'Cause I think that's kind of that's a properly interesting story, because there was cash flow at some point
Mm-hmm. It
when
was, yeah.
you did it at the time.
yeah. So so we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom place in Jackal Creek Golf Estate as well, and
You love Jekyll Creek, eh?
hey, you think to yourself, yeah. So we took that place and we turned it into an Airbnb, and we were getting that place booked out a lot. So pre-COVID, we had weddings a lot in the Krugersdorp and Lanseria region. So you'll find a lot of people, coming in to stay for that over the weekend. You would find the Coca-Cola Dome, before the We Buy Cars bought it, they used to have a lot of concerts and a lot of business seminars and conferences. So you'll find business people coming in the week to book it. And that proved very well. And then holiday period like December, you'll find overseas people that are coming to stay for the entire month. So it proved quite good, until I would say maybe then when the dome got sold, because then your weekdays are gone. So you still had your weekends for the weddings, and then you still had your holiday time. But then it stopped making sense. And then I think at some point, as it started to die down, we decided, I mean, we had our issues with parties and noise and excessive noise and things like that. Jackal Creek also started clamping down on Airbnbs within the state as well, as part of the rules and regulations. And then, at some point it was just sitting for a long period of time. So we just decided, let's rent it out. It wasn't making sense anymore. I mean, other places that we have, so we have a place in Polo Fields that we were actually living in at one stage. And after, you could see that they had some of the Baldwin places had Airbnb policies where you could have Airbnbs. But I think after people started coming and trashing the place, making so much of noise, they decided, no, we're going to cancel this whole thing, and we're not allowing Airbnbs in these places. Which is another place that I think we shouldn't have bought as well, because Polo Fields, same story. You're probably getting about 16,500 rent a month. It's costing you 22,000 rand. You're putting in money there as well.
How do you easily get to the point where you realize something is a mistake and you've just accepted? Like, you seem to be at peace with owning up to where you think was a mistake, and you just mentioned it's like we're moving along. A lot of people don't have that because they hold on to stuff.
Yeah.
So why do you seem to have this detached style when it comes to things that are not working?
I think at first, when you start to have losses in life, it's more difficult. But as you grow and you lose more, you get to come to terms with things quicker, because like I said, fail forward, fail fast, because there's a bigger plan in mind. You have a strategic direction in which you want to go. I call it the North Star, and you're going to get swayed left and right, and you're going to make wrong decisions all the time. But I guess don't make the wrong decisions continuously, especially in the property market. Now I know. After making, I guess Polo Fields, for example, was a primary residence of mine at one stage. And then I moved out because, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath on a second floor. Now you're carrying bikes, because I do mountain biking and, all these mountain bike races and cycling races. You're taking it up and down, and if you're taking a pram up and down, it's difficult, right? So I wanted a place with a garage and more space and a living nanny, and then I started to look for that sort of solution for me a few years ago. And also, I think that's also not the best idea, because buying from a developer is probably not the best idea going forward. But coming back to what I was saying, you have to make terms with especially in business. People are going to rob you all the time. People are you're gonna make decisions that you thought was right that wasn't right. But it's just how can you bounce back and recover from it is important. Having that mindset.
How do you bounce back? I mean, let's say a guy somewhere, maybe he's watching this, and he's made similar mistakes, and maybe he's unfortunate. The mistakes have buried him. How does one bounce back? I'm sure there has been moments in your life where you've done business, and it didn't work out, and maybe perhaps you owe people money. Some people have invested in the business. How do you own up and still be able to carry yourself and move forward and start
Sure.
over again?
So everybody, I think everybody wants to make it in life in some way, shape, or form. Not everybody is moved by money. Some people want more freedom in their life, more time to spend with their family. Everybody wants different things, but we all can agree that money makes the world go around. And I would say to anybody that has failed, to be honest, they need to be open with themselves. I like to call it a post-mortem. I've had multiple businesses. I've failed more than 10 times. I've had car wash businesses. I've had a coffee tuk-tuk that used to drive. I used to drive a tuk-tuk around selling coffee at one stage. I used to drive drunk people home at night. That paid for my degree, though, funny enough.
Driving drunk people home.
Driving drunk people at home. I had an 8 to 5 job, and then I had a 6 to 3 in the morning job, where I had another driver that we'll both go together in one car. The bank will send us a message to say, pick so-and-so up from this place and drop him off at that place. And then we'll get there with one
This
car.
before Uber.
Before Uber. And then I'll jump in that car, and then I'll drive that car to the customer's residence. And the bank used to pay for that service and insurance and my diners. So it used to be very exclusive at one stage. It used to be called Scooter Angels was the company. But surprisingly, that's how I got my degree paid for.
Wow.
And that is open. And once you got your degree, it starts opening doors. I did a BCom marketing degree. I did honors in business management, and then my MBA, and then now I'm at my doctorate. So it doesn't matter what job you do. I think the interesting stat, we have the highest unemployment rate in the world. Why? Our people are not willing to do things that sort of the job description. Everybody just wants to get rich quick, and people don't want to put in the grind. So, like I'm saying, it doesn't matter whether I got a degree or not. I'll do whatever it needs to be done to do the job. Like I'm doing my PhD. I got so many businesses, but I'm driving a truck. You get what I'm saying? I'm feeling pressure in the tires. I'm a hands-on operator. So I think when somebody fails, be honest with yourself. Why did it fail? Postmortem. Why did it fail? Could I have prevented it from happening? People go through breakups, people go through divorces, people go through financial strain, people go through debt in the family, a loved one, a spouse, a parent. All of these things could have led to business failure. Cash flow is the biggest thing. If you don't have the cash, you can't turn your business around. What does cash flow mean? If I don't, for example, have 12,000 or 13,000 rand to fill now into one of the trucks, the truck can't go to Durban or Cape Town. It's going to sit there. Those wheels are not going to turn. So, where you spend your money. Sometimes when people make a bit of money, they want to start going to the Diamond Walk and buying Gucci and Prada and all these things. And that's not going to make you money. Buying flashy cars, I've had it. I've had all of it.
I was about to say, but you've driven all sorts of flashy
I've driven
cars.
all sorts of cars. I mean, the last car now that I just gave away 3 weeks ago was a C63 AMG.
Yeah.
Golf R last year,
And you've been letting go of these cars. That's what I'm saying. You've got this detached way of doing things when it comes to realizing what a mistake is. It's like you cut your losses. Okay, I drove a C63. I'm happy to let it go.
Yeah.
Just like that. And
I got it out of my system, I guess. I've driven it. I enjoyed it.
should people drive it, enjoy it, get it out of the system?
Some people don't.
first?
It's a status thing for some. For me, it's not so much status. It's just that I used to work in a nightclub many years ago, and the owner used to drive a 63, and I used to drive a 63 for him here and there, move it, from this place to that place. And I said, no, one day I'm going to own this vehicle, and that's why I bought it. And you see, so your childhood also plays a role in you as a person now. But what I was, the end result of detaching all these things is because I know what my North Star is now. I know that I want to have a combined business where we're turning over in the next 12 months north of 25 million. How do you get there? And the sacrifices that you need to make. So I've sacrificed all these vehicles that I've been driving, so that, for example, we're gonna take delivery of a third truck now. technically the fourth.
So you sold the 63 to get a truck.
Exactly my point. And
Yeah.
that truck and trailer is worth 2 million rand. You know, so we've used it as a deposit to get this, and then that truck is going to turn over and generate money for us.
Yes.
And
So you're letting go of the liability to get the asset. What's the
get the
mindset around that?
I think the mindset around it is knowing again that what is your purpose? What do you want to achieve? I mean, selling the 63, the amount of people that was messaging me for that car was mad. Send me a video of how it sounds. Send me a video when you start it. One guy said to me from Limpopo, he said to me, he got a furniture business. And because I was so tired of people messing me around with time, you know, and he said to me, send me this. I said, listen, come and see the vehicle. If the vehicle is not what I said, you can take the vehicle for free and drive off. And I asked him, why do you want to buy this vehicle? And he said to me, no, it's a status thing. I said, okay, it's a status thing, sure. I mean, it's a good car. It's a last of the naturally aspirated V8s. It holds its value. It's a sought after car. Mercedes-Benz will never make that engine again. But why do you want to buy it? You know? He said, no, because I'm joining friends and we're going out. His mindset is not where it needs to be. He shouldn't buy a vehicle for status. You know, the ultra wealthy they don't drive these flashy cars. And I think when you start listening to podcasts and you start listening to people like you guys, like you spoke a lot about what does it mean to be financially free. If you're earning 5,000 and your expenses are 5,000, are you financially free? No, you know. And I think that's when people need to start thinking about, do I need this actually? Yes, it's nice to have, but it's parked in the garage a lot. Can I use this capital to do something better? I've made mistakes in my life. I've invested in businesses that didn't make sense or I didn't understand it, but now I know where I need to go. And it's all part of the journey, I guess.
And do you think making the mistakes first play a role now in your effort to build, the mindset to
Yes,
build?
for sure.
Yeah,
Because,
in what way?
because those are the school fees that we pay to learn. And so if I didn't pay those school fees, I could have made bigger mistakes down the line.
Yeah, you got to buy a Ferrari.
Yeah, you see. So, I mean, I know what vehicle I want to drive down the line. I won't say it here, but I know in my mind that's my, that's going to...
So the vehicle thing is not that it's going away. It's still there.
It's
The
coming. It's
North
going to
Star
come
is
back.
still
Yeah.
there.
You want to drive somebody wants to drive a supercar at one stage in their life, right? But you need to make sure that things around you are taken care of. The property strategy, for example, about 8 million on asset value that you're trying to dispose, that you're not trying to, but you're getting rid of to then reinvest it into a better portfolio. So I wouldn't immediately off the bat go and buy an expensive car. Now I'm thinking about vans, because now you're taking some of these cars to truck yards and you can't drive these cars in truck yards.
Yeah, you can't take a 63
You
to
see
a
what I'm
truck
saying?
yard. Yeah.
So now if you see I'm driving, I got a Isuzu van that I'm driving around. Got a windy window, manual operation, no
Yeah.
central locking. You got aircon, that's great. There's no turbo. You're coming from a 400 kilowatt. It was
Yes,
the
yes.
stock 63
Yeah.
to
Horsepower, my man.
600 Newton meters of torque plus to a Isuzu van. So, but again, no turbo, and so to get to 100 is a struggle. But you know what? I don't mind,
Yeah.
because I know what I want, and the sacrifice that I'm making to get what you want is important. So, yeah, I guess when people fail in business, also the people that you go into business with is so crucial. I always say, wrong person, right role. I have a role for example, of a CEO that I want to employ, and I put somebody in that role, but they're the wrong person for that role. They haven't been a director. Everybody wants to be a director, but how do you know how to direct? How do you know how to run a business? What is your duty as a director? So everybody just goes to CIPC or online. They open up a company, and I'm a director. What does it mean? People are working in corporate at the moment. They're directors of companies. Why do you think companies find it so hard to accept you being a director of a company? Because a director of a company runs the day-to-day operations. So how can you run a day-to-day operations while being employed? Someone else is paying you a salary. you know. So side hustles and stuff like that, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. You need to have some form of legal system in place. You can be a shareholder. There's a lot of people that are top bank, execs of banks. They're earning north of 20, 30, 40, 50 million rand a year. What do you think they're doing with that money? They're investing it in other companies, in other portfolios, whatever it is. They're shareholders, but they're not running the day-to-day operations. So a director or CEO reports to the board reports, and the chairman. You got some sort of legal structures in place, and ultimately the board reports to the shareholders. So you can be a shareholder in a business, and still have, you don't have to control the day-to-day operations. So coming to software, can I go to software?
Yeah. Let's go to software.
software.
And I was about to ask how your time at PwC influenced your approach to business and digital transformation. Maybe let's speak software along with that.
Okay, so in around 2014, I was working for a company that does point of sale for the likes of Steers, Mug and Bean, and all these Sun International and stuff like that. So my role was an account manager, and I used to go out and sell and install these point of sale systems where you place your orders. They came out with something called a cloud-based system. And nobody knew what that was really in South Africa. So it was more a subscription-based model. Now, South Africans predominantly like to own things, like cars and stuff like that. We don't want to lease. Okay? So I started to fall in love with what this whole cloud thing is, and it was called Oracle Hospitality, that was selling this. So you no longer pay for the software, you pay a monthly fee to get access, like a Netflix subscription, if you will. So I then started to look into how can I get into this industry, and then from there I pivoted for some reason to recruitment for 2 years, and I started in IT. So I started to interview thousands of people across various roles, up and down, execs all the way down to to junior people. And what I found is that people that are in the software sales space were earning quite well, because obviously you're privy to the pay slips and things like that. And then I said to myself, okay, how can I get into that? Because I know what I'm earning now, and I know what I want to earn. And then I started looking at softwares that are in the market that are cutting edge and leading forward. And I found that Salesforce, which is a customer relationship management software, a CRM, was one of the market leaders in that space. And they're competing against the likes of names that you would know, and others like the viewers, like Microsoft, Oracle, etc. And so I decided that they had some jobs that were available, and I applied for a job, and eventually I got the job, and I started selling this thing now. And then that's when I started to fall in love with this whole thing. And if you ask me what I would do for no money for many years, that was it eventually.
Software sales.
Software sales, yeah. Because when I started the business, 6 months later, COVID hit. So fast forwarding a little bit forward, when I started Pinotage Advisory, which is a Salesforce partner, 6 months later, COVID hit, and we went to level 5 lockdown. So all the leads that you were speaking to that were going to sign up with you said, hey, if everybody recall our COVID,
don't know what the future looks like.
Don't know, so we're not spending. Everything is cut. And so I decided to write some certifications and certify myself up to to architect level, I guess, over a period of time. And we found a niche to work with nonprofits initially, because the Salesforce offers 10 free licenses to nonprofits to manage their donors, donations, their volunteers, to manage the givings, the programs that they run. And nonprofits also needs reports on how their programs are running, So, for example, if KFC, Yum Brands, goes and says, I'm giving you 5 million to this nonprofit, they want a report on what they did with that 5 million. If it's a feeding scheme, how many kids did you feed? So we will go and start tailoring that system for them. The license is free, but we'll charge them an implementation fee to implement, manage, and support it. And then we started pivoting again, and fast forwarding to today, we started working with a bank, and we were building a solution for the bank. So I said to myself, how can I make myself more sought after, in the sense that what skill set can you create for yourself that's gonna get you, hey, I want to work with this person. So I started thinking about current trends and technology, and AI, as we all know, is a word that everybody uses nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't talk much about it. I don't go to seminars, and I don't talk about what I'm doing. So it's the adoption or the implementation of artificial intelligence in financial services. Okay, how can we take AI models, put it into financial services like banks and insurance, so that you, as a consumer or a customer of the bank, if you want to apply for a credit card, if you want to apply for a home loan, a personal loan, how can we make that process more easy for you using AI? So if predominantly if there's 5 steps to get a credit card, can we make that into 2 steps? So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to take multiple systems and connect it together so that the ease as a customer is much more better. So you get a better service, so you stay with the bank, the revenue increases, the bank makes more money, you get a better service. There's a lot of things I could talk about that.
What role is it playing in CRM?
So remember, fundamentally, CRM is, again, customer relationship management.
Yes.
What they're tracking in there is who are the contacts that we have, who are our customers. A customer could be B2B, B2C, so business to business. You are doing business with Pinotage Advisory or Trident Logistics, that's B2B. B2C is business to consumer, is you are doing business with Revan Naidoo and I'm a person, right? So you're tracking B2B, B2C customers. Those people are linked to opportunities. An opportunity, for example, is I want to buy a house, and I've made an application to buy a house in the bank, okay?
Yeah.
And that house is worth 2 million rand. That's an opportunity for the bank, because they know when they do the calculations, 2 million is going to work out to 4 million for them over 20, 30 year period.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So,
Times multiple customers.
exactly. So that's what we're building essentially, or that's what my doctorate is based on. I'm in my 2nd year, so I will be done at the end of this year. So you can call me Dr. Naidu
Dr. Naidu.
at the end of 2025. But yeah, that's what we're busy with.
Are there any common misconceptions about AI in business that you think need to be debunked?
Yes. So AI is a model that learns. There's different forms of AI. There's generative AI. AI is evolving very fast, right? So people that want to implement AI need to understand one fundamental thing. You need to have your data right. If your data is all over the place and it's not in the right format, shape, and if it's dirty, if it's not clean, if it's duplicated, you're not going to get the insights that you need to make business decisions. I'll give you an example of how AI can help a person in sales. If you got a lead or a customer that you haven't phoned in the last 30 days or sent an email or they haven't contacted you, it'll say to you, you haven't spoken to this person in the last 30 days. Or if you're a sales manager and you got salespeople under you, and that salesperson is saying, hey, I'm going to close this deal this month, it's 100,000 Rand. AI, if there's AI in that organization, it'll say, no, this deal is not going to close on this date. Why? Because that person sent an email saying that they're away for 2 weeks, the person that's going to sign the contract. So it'll pick up those type of insights and it'll give you this real-time information to then help you make better business decisions. So, debunking myths and facts and the truth of what AI is. AI can be good or bad, because if your data is not right, AI can give you a bad insight, which means you're making a bad business decision, which could lead to loss.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then how do you then balance the traditional way of doing business with AI-driven solutions?
So, AI models, there's an ethical sort of standard that one needs to apply to AI models. I'll tell you another example. Like, it could be in insurance. Let's use that industry. When you apply for if anyone that has car insurance, for example, or home insurance. They ask you a set of questions. When did you get your license? What year? What code? How many accidents have you had in X amount of years? What car is it? What's the value? Where does it park at night? What they're doing is they're assessing the risk. Okay, and then once they get a risk rating, a score, that equates to a premium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When AI is involved now, for example, in insurance, it'll start to do those calculations for you and give you that premium. Now, people train AI models. I will train the AI model to say, if they say it's in a locked garage, assign a score of 5, for example. If they're saying they're parking on the road, assign a score of 10, which is a high risk, because someone can break into the car and steal the car, versus being behind a locked garage or in a security estate. So you could train a model to be biased towards certain things. For example, you could train a model to be biased towards a female. So if it's a female, give them a lower score, or if it's a colored female, give her a higher score. If it's a white female, give her a lower score. If it's a black female, give her a higher score. And sometimes people can even train these models to be unconsciously. So that's why there's ethical standards to be able to train these models in an ethical manner, so that when we use it and we select certain parameters like, are you a black female, black male, white male, Indian male, female, it's not biased towards any of those. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think are when you look at South African businesses, small, big, what do you think are the biggest challenges they're facing when it comes to the digital transformation?
So I think we are evolving as organizations within South Africa and Africa, but the challenges that they face is budget constraints. People want to digitize, but the budget isn't there, or it's not like really there to get things going. We
Yes.
find that big organizations like even especially in the telecommunications industry, maybe they might buy other smaller companies, and what they do is they integrate it into their business, but then they have, like, for example, 2 different payroll systems, 2 different HR management, leave management systems, 2 different CRM systems. And so sometimes they might can one and then they use the other one, but they don't often integrate those systems very quickly. I guess in the industry and digital transformation, people need to understand that it's a long journey. People need to budget for change management as well. Because imagine now I come to you with another system that you just don't need, or you don't want, or you think it's going to cause you more headache because you've got 5 other systems that you're still using as well. So I guess the people element is very important. I've seen a lot of failed IT projects because there was bad change management involved. And you asked me the question about PwC.
Yeah.
So PwC, when I joined them, it was first a conversation of they wanted to acquire the firm Pinotage Advisory.
They wanted to acquire your company.
They wanted to acquire. It was a conversation that we had because they do the same thing. They do Salesforce. They have a Salesforce practice globally. They mandated to have one. So the original conversation was around acquisition. And then I said, no, I don't want to sell it to them for whatever reason it may be, and sold it to another organization. And when I joined them, I said I always wanted to work for a global firm because you get to work on global projects.
Yes.
So I've been exposed to some oil and gas companies on a global scale, telecommunications, automotive, healthcare, global nonprofit. So I got to work on quite exciting projects, and it made me a better person.
Yeah.
So that when I consult, I'm able to see things very holistically and on a global scale. So I think that's sort of what I got from PwC.
Would you advise people to take on jobs or projects not based on money, but based on who they would become because of the exposure of those jobs?
Definitely, yeah. Because all of us have probably worked for good and bad people, and if you see that this person has value that he can bring to your life, sometimes it's worth more than any amount of money in the world. If you're just thinking to yourself, I mean, hypothetically, I'm just saying, imagine you Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, and you saying and you approach me and say, don't you want to be my personal assistant? I would
Sure.
definitely say yes.
I see what you mean.
So sometimes working for corporate or working for the man is important because it also shapes and molds you and how people treat you as well. So if someone is treating you like bad, when you have your own business and you're running, even if it's call it a hair salon or you're doing nails or whatever it is that you're doing, you got a spaza shop, yeah, and you got people, maybe you have somebody working for you. You're never going to treat them that way because you've been treated badly in that, with your previous boss, or someone has inspired and motivated you and taught you about how to run a business, and you're going to take those lessons to running a business now.
And then your leadership philosophy. I mean, you lead people across industries. What would you say your philosophy is?
So how the structure is set up is so forth, right? So we have the software side, we have the logistics side. We're in the security side now, but with specializing in the logistics space, and then which I didn't even speak about. And then we got the toilet manufacturing side, right? So how it's set up is that each element has a leader there. And sometimes they come from industry and sometimes they don't come from industry. But they are mandated to do one thing, and that is to act on behalf of the company to grow it and to look after it as if it's their own. And that leads to multiple things: a profit-sharing model, a salary and a bonus, and everything else, and other perks that come with it. So they know that they have a vested interest in this in the particular company they serve. And what they do is that they have to meet with me and give me feedback about how the business is progressing and if there's any challenges that they may have. So they will then phone me if it's very urgent or they can't deal with it themselves, and then I will then quickly help them solve the problem. So I try and spread my time across these organizations.
Yeah.
They're not massive organizations, they're small, but they also require a lot of your time. And so I'm grooming and shaping each of them so that we're running a business that's corporate in nature. It's not a family business, it's a corporate business.
So what would be then your key habits and routines that keep you productive? Because if you're doing so many things,
Yeah.
then it's important to have some sort of energy management in place.
So, to be honest with you, I'm switched on 7 days a week.
Sure.
I
Hard
can't-
work, eh?
I can't switch my brain off. It's at night, so I think a lot about how I'm going to move this, how I'm going to pay this, cash flow, how money's going, when we're going to get paid, how I'm going to pay that supplier. I need money to do that, and so it's a bad thing, but I'm trying a lot to break away from the operations of the business. But I guess you need to have balance of health as well, and you need business and family time. So those are the three. So let's call it a triangle of sorts. So I haven't done it now in the last 9 months, but I'll get back into it now. Is that I used to cycle a lot,
Yeah.
and that keeps you busy. You go to the gym maybe twice a week. If you're feeling healthy and fit as well, you might be tired and you might sleep. So I sometimes go to the gym because I know I'm going to be tired in the night and I'll fall off to sleep.
I see.
Otherwise, your brain works till 1 in the morning. Yeah.
So who have been some of the biggest influences in life, in business, and in technology?
I would say, for me, any inspirational video that's out there on YouTube. I watched a lot of inspirational videos of how Tony Roberts, Vusi Temakwayo,
Yeah.
Robert Kawasaki, the rich dad poor dad.
Yes.
And There's entrepreneurs in the South African space as well that I've worked for, and I've seen what they've done from nothing and how they've grown their companies, and so I believe that we are learners our entire lives, and I've watched countless hours of YouTube. If you don't know something, watch YouTube. You learn anything you want on there.
Yeah.
So especially when I hire people, I don't care if you got a degree or you don't have a degree, because I got it. It just tells me that you were able to commit to something for X amount of years. You learned something. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, in that process, and I think that you can maybe reach back into that pocket of tools that you have to get what information you need. But nowadays, YouTube and all this online learning does the trick. I would hire someone that has more that's more eager to learn,
Yeah.
and doesn't have egotistical things in place. Like you find someone that will do a degree. This is a true story. I told this guy to take a screen, a laptop, a computer screen, and move it from one desk to another desk. And he said to me, "I did my honors for this."
Jeez.
And I said,
A guy said that to you.
yeah,
I didn't do my honors to come move computers.
yeah. And I was shocked because I know when my bosses used to say to me, "Hey, go buy me coffee or heat my food up," I'll do it not because I'm a boy, but because it got me extra few minutes with the boss that I couldn't get.
Yes.
You see how I see it.
Yeah.
And they were and some so just that's why I say degrees make people like entitled. Whereas you'll find somebody with no degree that's eager to learn and that will put in the hours and that will be hungry to have time with you. I would take that person over anybody else.
So if you had one piece of advice for entrepreneurs in Africa, what would it be?
I think it's focusing on who you go into business with and the people that you contract with all the time, because and I know this is not what people generally say, but that can make and break you. Oftentimes, especially when you're a young entrepreneur, you go into contracts and you sign contracts that you don't really know you're signing and what you're signing, and it comes back to bite you. And sometimes you can lose things. You can lose everything over that. You don't deliver the service, there's a repercussion to it. And then we often also, just to get the business, we bend over backwards, and we do everything and anything to get that piece of work. But at some point, you need to realize actually you need to safeguard yourself. You need to protect yourself, because if that customer asks you for a 200,000 rand refund and you don't have the money to give them, where are you going to go pull it out of? Because the SLA or the service level agreement said, if you don't provide the service, we want a full refund, and you went and spent that money paying operational expenses. So make sure because I've been in a few legal situations now, contractually, and it made me open my eyes to say that I need to start looking at the legal contracts that we have in place and how we can safeguard ourselves as a business. And also sometimes, when clients give you terms that you sign, it's not favorable to you. So I would tell anybody right now to, look into that before you accept anything.
What would you say would be your final thoughts on how businesses can prepare for an AI-driven future? And to add a twist to the question, do you think with the advent of AI, emotional intelligence in human beings then plays a big role in ensuring a better future for yourself as an individual business person?
So I think AI, I was actually saying this early on, in the logistics space is starting to take traction, in the sense that the cameras that we have in our trucks have AI built in them. So if the driver is yawning, it sends a signal it makes a noise, and there's a small screen that says what they're doing. And it also sends a signal to a call center that then speaks to them over the walkie-talkie. But it's a start. It's a start. But how can you be a disruptor if you want to understand AI and you got an industry in which you play in? Doesn't matter what industry you play in, you could utilize AI to become a disruptor in that industry. But also understanding the people in which you're trying to sell AI to. You can't go to a 70-year-old board of directors and say to them, let's go implement AI drones now, and you think they'll buy. No.
Why not?
Because, they're more old school in nature. So the sell is going to be longer and harder to get them to do it. I was chatting to my security manager now, and I was saying to him, let's buy some drones, so that if there's a vehicle that's parked behind a warehouse and we're trying to find it, we just deploy the drone. The drone will pick it up for us while our security vans are running around trying to look for it. And he said to me, yes, but sometimes people don't want that type of change. Not to say that it's good or bad, but they just know security for the last 30 years to be in a certain way and manner, and that's how they want to carry it out. So AI is scary for a lot of people. And I guess with any disruption in this life, Bitcoin was a disruption.
Yeah.
People were scared. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Should I put my money there? Should I not put my money there? AI is the same. But AI is here to stay, and it can be used for good.
So we have a great array of people that watch the show. Black, white, Indian, colored, everybody. Proper rainbow nation. There could be some young people sitting at home and they're saying, Revan, things are tough. If you were looking through that camera and speaking to them, what is it that you would say to them that they can start implementing tomorrow morning after watching this show?
Especially to the youth, because as we get older, we can't understand the younger generation even more. I would say, guys, wake up early. And I'm saying, when I mean wake up early, some days I wake up at like 3:30 in the morning, so that you have those 2-3 hours of your time that nobody's going to interrupt you. Some people are early morning people. I'm an early morning person than a late night person. But wake up early or sleep later, whatever it is. If you got a job that you're doing or you're trying to hustle to start something, put in the hours to learn. They say that any person that's good at anything has to spend about 10,000 hours in what they do. Okay, and if you don't know, like, everything requires money, but there are ways to make money without money. There are ways, like you speak about it as well. You could become a property sort of broker, where you meet the buyer and the seller together, and you could make like not an agent of sorts.
Yes.
But don't always think that you need money, and also sometimes when you're borrowing money, make sure that the people you're borrowing from you are not going to be left in the lurch because you think it's going to work. And I think lastly, make sure that you give it enough time, because nothing's going to happen overnight. The success takes time to grow. And I think what opened my eyes over the last 5 years, that someone said to me, is what is your time worth to you? For you, sometimes if you're just sitting at home and you got nothing, it might be worth nothing to you. But work towards what is your time going to be worth to you, even by the hour down the road. Is it 2,000 an hour? Is it 1,000 an hour? How can you get there? I'll tell you why. Quick one. I know we're out of time. I had this coffee business, right? The whole day, I'll turn over maybe 5,000 or 6,000 rand on an okay day, right? But if I had to consult my time out, for example, at the consulting firm, it's 6,000 rand an hour. So that's what they sell my time for. Okay. So 1 hour was equated to a whole day of trying to sell coffee. So how do you get yourself to that? Is important, so that you become. Look, there's a lot of schools of thought around billable resourcing, and if you're in hospital today and you can't bill your time out, like a doctor, for example, if you just have a practice, you get sick, you're in hospital, who's going to run your practice? You know what I'm saying? Then now we're talking about entrepreneurs and entrepreneur and being employed and self-employed and all of that, right? But what I'm saying is that what is your time worth to you today? It could be worth nothing, but how can I make my time more valuable so that people will then pay me for my time? That's what we need to be selling, I think, to the youth out there.
And on that, how do I make it valuable part? Briefly, how can I make my time valuable?
You can make your time valuable by learning a skill that's unique, or that learning a skill that is not sought after, and it takes time though, right? So I mean, for example, wrote 20 certifications within Salesforce. I probably sit in the mid to upper rank of people that are certified in Africa. Now I'm trying to make my time more valuable because the highest cost is called a certified technical architect in the pyramid of certifications. And probably the entire cost, if I had to equate it, is worth about R500,000. That's what it costs. You have to probably fly to San Francisco and present in front of a board. You could do it virtually, but there's problems around latency when it comes to presenting. So if you put a cursor there, it's going there. But there's only probably 750, 800 people that have it globally. So there's more astronauts than these people out there. So what do you think once I get it, my time is going to be worth?
Much
Per
more.
hour, But it's a long journey. It's a 2-3 year journey. But I know when I'm done with that, my hourly rate is going to shoot up. So similarly, find something that you're going to learn, spend the hours learning it, and then go out and start consulting yourself out, even if it's for free for now. Then get the knowledge and how it's going to be done, and then start charging your time out to clients. And that's a service business that I'm referring to, not a product business.
Where can people find your work and get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, Revan and Naidu. You can find me on LinkedIn. You could pop me an email. I got multiple emails. I'll just give you the easiest one. It's hello, HELLO at Trident Logistics .co.za. You could get me on my cell if you need 061 460 6964. I think those are the ways.
Lovely having you here, brother,
Thank
and
you.
I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for making time to sit here. I know it's worth a lot.
Sure.
So I don't take it lightly that you came to sit with me. So in terms of the support structures that you need in place for your business, it could be business or personal life. What are those support structures that
Sure. So you need a good support structure, obviously from a business lens of your management. They need to support you. But I think more importantly, especially when you're building a business, support structure at home, whether it be your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, brother, family member, friend. So having a good support structure and grounding is important. Reason why? If you're in a relationship, for example, you're in a breakup stage, your mind's going to be all over the place. Your business probably might go down as well because of that, or not. But having that support structure where you both have a common goal, like for example, you have to work late or you have to work early in the morning. Whether if you have kids, someone's going to be taking care of them while you're doing that. And oftentimes that's not the case because people don't see the value right now of what you're trying to do and build because the success is not there, the money is not there. People want money now to pay the expenses that you have now. You got expenses you have to pay now, and then often leads to fights and it often leads to problems and issues. So making sure that your support structure is grounded, explaining to your support structure that you're starting this business and you're going through this process and this is the support that I need from you, and getting that agreement in place is very crucial. Because down the line, you might find that you didn't speak about it and you're trying to build this business and you said, hey, this is not what we agreed on. And the next thing you know, you can't actually run your business because you're not getting support from wherever it is that's supporting you, be it family or friends. So it's definitely important to make sure you get that in order, because it's part of that journey of succeeding.
What has been your support structure? Because it's one thing to talk about what one needs as a support structure, but I'm sure in your own personal life, you've had different mentors. I'm sure you've got a wife, family that supports you. What has been your personal support
Cool.
structure?
Thanks so much, Witness. So the support structures that I have is let's start from what you said, mentors. There are mentors that are in my life that I would meet sometimes even once or twice a year. They will guide me in terms of what my North Star is and how to get there. Okay? Those are people that you don't meet often. From a home perspective, yes, my wife, she supports me because obviously we have, that we have a baby and we have to manage that home work-life balance. So, and she's a busy person herself as well. So we just need to make sure that, we communicate with each other about what we are doing. If we're working late, if she's working late, I'm working late. So my support structure is great. And I think it does take time to work on your support structure so that you get it at a place that's gelling well. Because the last thing you want is that one person is working and the other person is not working as hard as the other one, and then you get friction, at home because the person needs to work late and then you're also not available. So making sure that your support structure is at a point where it works well. Which is where I'm at, is something that is very important.
And how does one have that work-life balance? Does it exist?
As an entrepreneur, to be honest, it doesn't exist, because when I'm on holiday, whether it's the weekend, whether we're sitting in a mall, at a restaurant, I'm always working. So she understands that. She understands that that's my business. If I don't do it, I don't get paid. We don't. And there's families that I support. The people that work for us have families. So she's never ever, not once ever said to me, you know what, you can't work. So I think she understands that, and my daughter as well. I mean, she's 3.5 years old, and she sees me all the time. I'm working. Daddy's working. Daddy's in the office. Daddy's in the office. He's working. So. Sometimes I would like to switch my phone off, but there's never a time where you can at this point. But again, it's, maybe down the line you'll have that luxury of doing certain things like that. When you're employed, I guess, you got, if you work Monday to Friday, you got your weekends off, and, you're doing nothing, or you're trying to do your side hustle kind of thing.
Any final words?
No, I guess thank you, Witness. Yeah, thank you, Witness, so much. I think your book is really inspiring, and I did say to you that I would like to write a book at some point.
Yes.
So if you do see a book out, I do write a book, I'm going to put it next to yours. But yeah, thank you to everyone that's watching, and I hope that we all make it, together.
We've got this. We're going to work together to
Yes.
make it. Thank you so much.
Thank
Guys, remember that on the 3rd of May, we've got the It's More Than Just Money Business and Property Seminar in Bloemfontein, Free State. We'll be at the Protea Hotel. Please check your tickets on web tickets. That's the 3rd of May in Free State, Bloemfontein at the Protea Hotel. Tickets are available on web ticket, at Boxer, at Pick and Pay, as well as our website, it's morethanjustmoney.com, as well as witnessmdaka.com. And yes, you can check out all our social media platforms for all this information. If you want to purchase the book, It's More Than Just Money, please head out to our website, click on the link in the description box. You'll find all the information that you need for you to be able to purchase the book. It is important for you to purchase the book, one, because it is going to add value to you, teach you how to start a business, how to scale a business, how to invest in property the right way, as well as support this channel, which allows us to pay for all the equipment that we need for us to be able to bring you inspiring guests that are going to add value to you. Thank you so much. You've got everything you need.
I think there's one more.